I was only a high school graduate, but the bride, who had graduated from a renowned music college, insisted that I play the piano at my brother's wedding. She was clearly teasing me because I had never informed her I could play. Then she muttered something startling in my ear while leaning extremely close. She grinned and said, "To be honest, I have a real boyfriend besides Jack," while I shuddered in front of the piano. However, I knew that smile would be fleeting. Elena Johnson is my name. I am 32 years old, single, and employed at a wedding venue. My brother and I are the only members of my family. When I was in high school, our parents were divorced, and our mother died in an accident a few years later. We were left to fend for ourselves after we lost touch with our father, who never provided for us. I never attended college. Instead, in order to provide for my brother and myself, I went straight to work. Jack, my 3-year-old younger brother, is bright and perceptive. After completing his undergraduate education on a full scholarship, he was hired by a reputable corporation. Given that he was getting married soon, I was particularly proud of him. Jack claims that his bride, who was lovely, amiable, and focused on family, was the daughter of a business executive. She was apparently ideal because she had already taught private piano lessons after graduating from a prominent music school. Our families first met over a holiday. In person, Grace Miller, the bride, was even more charming and gorgeous than in her pictures. She came to me seeking guidance. "I've heard you're employed at a wedding venue. Is it possible for us to get married there?" she inquired. With pleasure, I responded, "Of course, we'd be delighted to help, in support of my brother's special day." Her parents grinned and were filled with pride as they told Grace's parents about her many piano competitions and awards. However, Grace's attitude changed when her father brought up a particular girl who frequently defeated her in contests. "My daughter consistently performed well, but one girl consistently won first place. Quite annoying." "Once more, what was her name?" he inquired. "Let's not talk about that," Grace interrupted abruptly, shifting the topic. When I went outside to answer a business call an hour later, I noticed Grace coming back from the bathroom. "Thank you very much for all that you've done for us today." I thanked her for the beautiful day and remarked, "It was fantastic." But Grace's demeanor shifted. "Attending today's meeting is a high school graduate," she said, hurrying back to the room and leaving me behind. I stood there, unable to respond to her abrupt transformation. I couldn't understand what was going on. After finishing my work call, I returned to my seat, still puzzled. Strangely, Grace had reverted to her pleasant self. "Elena, would you like something to drink?" she asked kindly, handing me the drink list. I must have misheard her. Not wanting to complicate matters, I kept the incident to myself. The meeting soon came to a close. However, it quickly became clear that it was not a misunderstanding at all. When Grace and I started meeting alone to plan the wedding ceremony, she constantly looked down on me. "You don't resemble Jack, who is very attractive," she would say every time we met, implying I was unattractive. Grace was sarcastic, often mocking my high school education and unmarried status. "If you have time to assist others in getting married, why don't you worry about yourself?" she sneered. "Oh, but you're only a high school graduate, so you're not very bright, and you lack manners because you were raised by a single mother. I don't think you'll be able to find a partner," she said. She often boasted about her piano skills. "I'm the one who always won the top prize in piano competitions. I'm not like you, who only finished high school and went straight to work." Grace's constant jabs wore me down. Although she was supposed to be my brother's wife, I couldn't bring myself to like her. But Jack had chosen her, and the relationship seemed to be going well. I decided to keep Grace's true nature a secret from my brother, believing I was the only one who had to endure her cruelty. Months passed, and it was finally the day of the wedding. As the daughter of an executive, Grace had many company employees in attendance. We had made special arrangements for them, treating them as VIPs. Though I could have taken the day off as the groom's sister, I wanted to be part of my brother's special day, even if only from behind the scenes. Consequently, I was permitted to work as a staff member until just before the ceremony began. With only a few minutes left before the ceremony, two of Grace's female friends entered the dressing room while I was touching up my makeup. I wanted to say hello, but I needed to finish quickly. Besides, they were in the midst of a lively conversation, so I continued working on my hair and makeup without interrupting them. Suddenly, their conversation took an unexpected turn. "Hey, you know Grace is dating another guy, right?" one of them said. "I've heard he's a guy from the nightclub. She said she was getting married today just to keep up appearances," the other replied. "If that's true, I feel sorry for the groom, who has no idea." My mind went blank, and I panicked. I needed to stop this marriage immediately, but I couldn't cancel the ceremony without proof. The wedding ceremony began, leaving me feeling bewildered. Guests provided entertainment as the ceremony neared its midpoint. Grace's friends, all music college graduates, played beautiful pieces on their instruments. Suddenly, Grace picked up the microphone and announced, "Now my sister-in-law will make a presentation on the piano." All eyes in the hall were suddenly on me. I panicked. Grace had never mentioned this. I had never told her I could play the piano, so this unexpected announcement caught me off guard. This wasn't part of the plan. Grace was supposed to play the piano in the second half of the wedding, so it wasn't even ready yet. Hearing Grace's words, the ceremony hall personnel began frantically arranging the piano while I stood there too surprised to move. Grace approached me at the family table and yanked my arm with all her strength. "Come this way," she demanded, dragging me toward the piano. "Hey, you didn't tell me anything about this," I whispered to her, trying to keep calm as the other guests watched. Grace leaned in, her voice a harsh whisper. "When I look at you, I can't help but get angry. All I want to do is annoy you. Is that the only reason you're treating me like this?" I asked. "Yeah, that's right," she replied, her smile vindictive. I realized in that moment how much I despised her. "The ceremony will be ruined if you refuse to perform here. What do you think will happen if I cry in front of my father? The marriage will be annulled, and Jack will be fired from his job. Do you really want your beloved brother to get fired? How can I really want to marry such a boring man? To be honest, I have another boyfriend. I only married him because my parents were too annoying." Grace's confession confirmed what the girls in the bathroom had said. While I was processing this, the piano was finally set up. "Let's see what you got," Grace taunted as she instructed. I sat down on the piano bench. My body started shivering, and I could feel my breath coming in heavy gasps. Maybe it's too much to ask of someone who only graduated high school. "Perhaps you've never even touched a piano," Grace said, her triumphant smile widening. The audience was growing increasingly noisy. A staff member, noticing my distress, approached me. "Are you feeling all right?" she asked gently. Meanwhile, Grace had a contented smile at the corner of her mouth. "Play the piano if you're Jack's sister." But it seems I was mistaken. "I'm sorry," she mocked. However, a single phrase from my brother changed everything. "Don't you know my sister?" Grace stammered. I broke the silence by starting to play the piano. I played "Dream of Love," a standard song at weddings. The previously noisy venue quieted down as the sound of the piano filled the air. When I finished, I was met with thunderous applause. My colleagues, who hadn't known I could play the piano so well, were moved to tears. In contrast, Grace's face turned bright red, and she bent her lips in frustration. "You were nervous and trembling earlier. How could you play so well?" she demanded. "I didn't tell you, but I studied at a music college overseas," I replied. Grace appeared staggered, stepping backward when I announced the university's name. "By the way, I was trembling because I was nervous," I added, smiling. I was quivering with excitement because I was so delighted to be playing the piano for the first time in a long while. Grace, taken aback, exclaimed, "That's the college I wanted to go to but couldn't. How could a person like you, from a single mother family, attend?" "I've been taking piano lessons since I was a little girl, and I happened to have a few people around me who supported me," I explained. "However, when my mother died, I had to drop out of music school to come home and help my brother attend school. The reason I had never told Grace that I could play the piano was to avoid overshadowing her. It seems my brother hadn't mentioned my piano experience to her either. Grace, determined to outdo me, refused to acknowledge my past. One of Grace's friends noticed my face and suddenly recognized me. "Is she, by chance, Elena Garcia?" she asked. "Oh, if that's the case, she's so incredible that we can't even begin to compete." This friend had attended my music college and remembered me well. When it comes to Miss Garcia from the United States, she was known for being a brilliant pianist. Grace, hearing the last name Garcia, turned to me with a bewildered expression. "Are you by any chance the Elena Garcia who won all the awards in the competitions?" "I don't know if I won all the awards, but it's true that I won many of them," I said. "Yes, that's right. I was the girl who always stood in front of you at every competition," I replied. Elena Garcia was my name before my parents divorced. While Grace stood stunned, the MC approached me for a comment. "It was a wonderful performance. Would you like to say something into the microphone?" Seizing my chance to expose Grace, I took a deep breath and spoke into the microphone. "Please listen, everyone. Grace is having an affair." Everyone gasped at my sudden revelation. Grace's parents were speechless, their mouths agape. "No, that's not true. She's just talking nonsense." Grace tried desperately to deny it. But I quickly connected my phone to the speaker and played a recording. "To be honest, I have another boyfriend. I only married him because my parents were too annoying." Grace's voice echoed through the hall. Knowing Grace's true nature, I had my mobile phone voice recorder ready to capture her confession. Grace's face turned pale as her deceit was revealed. "You disgraceful brat." Grace's father yelled at her in public, and all hell broke loose. "I'm sorry, Papa. I'm sorry," Grace pleaded. "I'll never forgive you." "You are no longer my daughter," her father declared. Then, as if pushing her away, Jack also accused Grace. "How dare you deceive me? I'm not marrying you," my brother declared. Please reconsider," Grace begged, but my brother was furious. "Apologize to my sister, too," he demanded, pushing her away. Grace looked desperate, not knowing what to do. "Please forgive me. Everyone, please forgive me too," she pleaded, still thinking only of herself. There was no apology to me. "You've been insulting me for so long, and now you expect me to forgive you." "You take far too many things for granted," I said coldly. "How will I ever be able to live on my own if Papa and Jack abandon me?" Grace cried. She confessed that the man she was having an affair with was a spendthrift and that she couldn't live on his money alone. "I don't care about your life anyway. I'm not going to forgive you," I responded firmly. Grace, finally in a tight spot, bowed her head to me. "I apologize for everything I've done." "I'm sorry," she said, tears spilling from her eyes. Her makeup had smeared, and her eyes were dark. It was a pitiful sight. But remembering all she had done to me, I could not forgive her. "I feel nothing for you. You insulted me for graduating from high school and trampled on my darling little brother's heart. Never show your face in front of us again," I stated. Grace broke down in tears on the spot and was taken out of the ceremony hall by her relatives. Her parents then apologized to the attendees, and the wedding was abruptly canceled. After the attendees left, my brother and I had a discussion. "I'm really sorry if I made you feel bad because I fell for that woman," he said. "I'll be fine. Are you going to be okay?" I asked, concerned. "I need to sort out my feelings right now, but I'll get back on my feet soon," he assured me. I believed his words and decided to slowly watch over my brother. Later, he and Grace officially broke off their engagement. Jack received compensation, and Grace's parents cut her off, kicking her out of the house. Grace had managed her piano lessons with the support of her parents, but that was no longer possible. She began working part-time, but her lack of skills made it difficult for her to make ends meet. The man she was dating also dumped her as soon as he realized there was no more money. Jack, on the other hand, devoted himself to his work and was soon promoted. He was very happy that his efforts had paid off. As for me, I have been asked to play the piano more and more often at wedding ceremonies, and my days are now busy. I hope to bring excitement to many people with my piano performances.